Hello YouTube! The game has been out for almost a month now, and if you are playing casually, you might be starting to get into the mid-game or even late-game, which means you might be struggling with combat power or don't really know what stats to allocate or artifacts you need for Jinwoo. So let's see what you can do to increase your damage and combat power. First we have job changes. It's really important to complete the missions to unlock jobs as fast as possible, since every time you get a new job you get stat points. I believe it's 30 points and new skills, especially the ultimate when you get Necromancer. You want stats, and apart from job changes, whenever you level up you gain 5 stats, but where do you allocate them? If you watch solo leveling you will be familiar with stats windows, since it's the same as in the anime and Korean manga. But unlike the anime, you don't really need to invest in intelligence to have more mana for your shadows, since they use a different resource to cast the ability. Then, if you don't need intelligence, you have 3 options, since vitality isn't worth it to have. Just practice the dodge to avoid getting hit, and the stats that you want are strength, agility and perception. Before that, if you already increase vitality or intelligence, don't worry, you can always reset your stat points and reallocate them. So if you have 3, how to increase them? I believe you increase them depending on how late into the game you are. And what I mean is, if you are in the early stages, more into the mid game, or challenging the end game. For early game, the best stats will be strength and perception. And the reason for that is strength is the best stat overall for your damage, and you have no artifacts and you won't be able to crit that often. So agility isn't that worth it, and even if you crit, you won't crit for much. Then perception will be the best stat alongside strength for damage in the early stages. But what's perception? Perception gives precision, which increases the minimum damage you can deal to opponents, so the higher your precision stat, the higher your minimum damage will be. And early game that's going to matter a lot. Precision goes up to 100%, so if you are close to that you can invest more in strength. For the mid game, and I would say mid game will be when you level 35 artifacts, slightly built, and are starting to farm cerebros and spider bosses for level 55 artifacts and accessories from the wolves and degrees, then I'll suggest to change the investment slightly. At this stage you'll most likely have a couple SR weapons ascended and even the scythe E1, so you have precision for free from there. Since ascended weapons give precision, and you might have a couple crit rate and crit damage artifacts. So I would suggest to increase your precision a bit, just so you get to around 85%, then invest in agility to close the gap to 50% crit rate. In this game the crit rate is capped at 50 from stats, you get more crit from abilities and buffs, and finally, for the rest of the stats you can put everything else into strength. In the late game you probably have 50% crit rate from substats alone, and most likely have 2 weapons in one ascension, so I would say you now only care about strength. Precision will be from your weapons and crit will be from stats, therefore all you want from stats will be strength. Now that we know what stats you want, it's time to increase our combat power. The short answer to increase combat power is upgrade everything you can for Jinwoo, but we want to ensure we are concise and only upgrade what's essential, so what we upgrade? First will be the stats, just like we talked previously, then you want to focus on upgrading his skills. His ultimate kit skills are the most important, since they are always the same, you can't change them, apart from ulti, but once you get Truth Mutilate, you won't change anytime soon. Then upgrade skills you'll be using the most. In my case I'm using Death's Dance, Commander's Touch and Armor Break the most, so that's where I invested. Whenever you get a new skill, you gain a level for that skill, so make sure you go to Fusion to get more skills. But the places you get the most amount of combat power are your weapons and artifacts. Just one level 90 weapon can give you around 40k power, depending on ascension. That means you want to focus all your resources into weapons and increase them as much as you can before you really, and I mean really, need element advantage to clear a stage. And artifacts are the other most important place to increase combat power. Depending on how good your artifacts are, they can give you around 10k or more combat power each if you upgrade them all the way to 20. That means you will need to grind the instance dungeon and encore missions every day to get the best possible artifacts and increase them all the way to level 20. Just so you can see how much the artifacts make a difference, I'm going to equip them all. I have 94k power, and if I unselect them all, I have 31k. 60k power alone is from artifacts. But what artifact sets and stats do you want to have the most damage with Jinwoo? For starters, we have the early to mid game and late game stage sets. In the early to mid game you want to be critting that much, That means you want set effects that increase your damage or give you a way to deliver more damage besides crits. And those sets will be Destroyer set to increase your power gauge, so you can ult off CD or one hit kill to deal the most damage possible whenever ultimate is up. When you get to end the game and have 50% crit rate and 150 or more crit damage, you have more options. But you have amazing stats on them, you can keep using the same sets. That's one hit kill and Destroyer. If you want to have the most damage, I would say Toughness or Armed set. Will be best one, since one increases your crit rate above the cap, which is really important, and the other ignores 50% of the defense, make you deal even more damage. But again, it all comes down to stats, just use the set with the best stats. And this might be just mid-stage sets as well, since there might be leaks of a new artifact set, a level 80 artifacts, and we might have to grind the new artifacts, so just use the set with the best stats. Don't worry too much about the set effects, just use the ones that have the best stats. Now for accessories, the best one is Expert, since you are constantly attacking and you will eventually stack the attack bonus from the set, making it the best set for him in my opinion. For stats, you want attack percent and crit damage main stats, with crit rate, crit damage, attack percent, damage increase, and defense penetration for substats. If we can get a combination of at least 2 to 3 of them on every piece, it will be amazing, with a perfect piece looking like this. I'm not using these gloves yet, because all my other armed artifacts are complete crap. That's pretty much the best ways to increase Jinwoo's power, with weapons and artifacts being the most important. And for reference, you can use these stats as a guide if you're still lacking on in any way. You want to have 50% crit rate with as much crit damage as you possibly can. Whenever you get damage increase or defense penetration substats, equip them. With the type of your most used weapon, I'm not using a light weapon, but I have the best stats on my light ring, so on my bracelet, so that's why I'm using light damage bracelet, and I have around 13.7k attack, mainly thanks to my stats being all into strength, and I don't have more precision because I'm not equipping a weapon with an ascension stat, so I'm missing precision from one of the weapons. But I don't really miss the precision, as I said, late game strength is more important. So that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed, please like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching. See ya!